There are traps around every corner that are waiting to steal your male power in this world. Just observe how each film or television program is marketed, or observe the kinds of people who are held in high regard. Nothing is safe from the elite's current objective of mind control. Men are being indoctrinated to embrace frailty. It is the same world you live in today, brothers. You may blame the elites, but ultimately it is you who chose deliberately to obey them. There are much greater forces at work that have meticulously created the matrix to keep you a slave to your desires and urges. All men should strive to be strong, whether in their professional, financial, or romantic lives. Every male naturally wants to be in charge, powerful, and strong. As a result of who you are, every man yearns for a powerful sense of drive. Many of us lack it because we engage in habits that prevent us from developing into the powerful men we were meant to be. Men today moan and groan over everything. They spend a lot of money on drugs and prawns, and they even make excuses for other people. Let's now examine the 5 traits and behaviors that weaken men. Number 1. Killing your young days. On this channel, we consistently cover the significance of your formative years. Your 20s and, to some extent, your 30s are what you refer to as the golden years. Right now is the time to improve oneself. The time to work on yourself is in your 20s. You must put effort into your physical, emotional, and spiritual development. But this is the most crucial element. Don't anticipate eating these fruits anytime soon. Simply keep sowing. Before you know it, you'll have created jungles and forests that are home to the correct kinds of wildlife. By planting, I mean making an effort. This doesn't imply that you must work non-stop, but you should always remember that these days are when you have the most energy and the chance to take the biggest risks, so make use of them while you still have the chance, especially if you're young. You can feel as though you are being left out of the hookup culture. You might not comprehend it now, but as you get older and mature, you'll be glad you didn't get sidetracked. Number 2. Making fun of other people. Few people discuss this, but if you're a high-value man, you shouldn't ever look down on others. Remind yourself that you are beneath them at all times if you catch yourself making fun of others. This is not to say that you shouldn't correct someone when they make a mistake, but you shouldn't make a comedy out of it either. As a man, you must mentor and instruct your fellow brothers without harboring any grudges or ulterior motives. Keep in mind that men who are confident and strong don't minimize others. Rather, they are there to help and encourage them. This point might seem very clear-cut, but is desperately needed, particularly in this generation. Number 3. Being lazy and unproductive. When do you go to sleep and when do you get up? How are you organizing your day? When you return from work, what do? You need to consider each of these inquiries carefully. You need to plan your day wisely if you want to push yourself to succeed in every aspect as a guy. Consider the reasons behind the elite's achievement in creating the Matrix, because every component and area has been carefully considered. Similarly, consider every aspect of your day, the kinds of people you are hanging out with and the kinds of media you are watching. If you don't think of the appropriate kinds of ideas, you've opened the door for the Matrix to infiltrate you, so be careful to do so. Making you lethargic is one of the most effective ways the Matrix keeps you weak. The biggest killer of men today is idleness. You may have a lot of business or life-related thoughts as a man, but you may never act on them. Laziness will gradually embed itself in you if you allow it. It will eat you up without your knowledge and keep you from moving on with your life. Brothers, always keep in mind that laziness only succeeds against weak men. Why? Because a man of high worth picks it up fast and fixes it. Always be aware of your laziness and get rid of it as soon as you can. So keep in mind, brothers, that in contemporary society, helplessness is a virtue. They chase after weakness, but your greatest virtue is strength. At every turn, strive for strength, and never forget that God is your greatest strength. Number 4. Failure to accept responsibility. The day you decide to put off your duties is the day you decide to put off becoming a man. Greatness comes at a cost, accountability. Great power entails enormous responsibility. It is solely your responsibility as a man to assume responsibility for your life. Our DNA contains it. So, if you decide to abdicate responsibility, you are also accepting failure. You need to assume responsibility for every circumstance if you want to join the top 1% of men. Instead of placing the blame for your problems on others, start making changes to your life. Number 5. Running from failure. This is a challenging one. Most guys in today's world will inevitably choose comfort over advancement. Keep in mind that failure typically precedes progress and is uncomfortable. There is a well-known illustration of a man who goes diamond hunting. He keeps digging despite not knowing how deep the diamond is beneath the surface. When he first starts digging, all he finds is more dirt. He keeps digging, and more dirt keeps coming up. but he eventually obtains what he needed after a few hours or maybe days. So keep that in mind, brothers. Collapse is not the end of the story. If you approach life with that mindset, you can be sure that you will never be successful in anything. Just consider anything worthwhile. Consider starting a business. When you first start, you could have a lot of so-called failures as you work to understand the industry and get clients. But you won't see yourself improve unless you play the game long enough and don't try to hide from those transient failures. Ladies are the same. When you first make those approaches, you can come out as a weird adult guy who is awkward around people. Your success, though, rests beyond those transient setbacks. This is a little price to pay for success for a strong man. As kids, we are usually taught to be ashamed of our errors and shortcomings. You might have said, "Oh, it's not my fault," or "this individual is to blame," to attempt and justify them by pointing the finger at another offender. This is what a loser thinks. By the way, don't forget to show some love. Tap that subscribe button and hit like for the algorithm. To see the next best way to level up as a man, watch these videos here.